My name is Max. I am the Global Director of Technology at Incubator, and I'm here to talk to you today about how data, machine learning, and some intelligent use of some campaign settings can set you up to reduce your cannibalization from SEO and drive incrementality from total search. Firstly, the obligatory who we are slide. We are a marketing analytics company, consultants, agency, etc., etc. We've got some clients, we've won some awards. But what I'm here to talk to you about today is our journey to creating our total search product, similar search. And the last thing I mentioned is don't let all these Google badges fool you. I put myself firmly in the camp of a Google skeptic and really enjoy building tools to kind of question some of their rhetoric. So what I'm here to talk to you today is about the total search challenge. So what do we really mean by that? What we're trying to tackle are really these age-old questions of search. So one, is paid search actually worth it? Two, if I were to turn it off, how much would my organic pick up? And thirdly, and mainly, how can I actually find a way to spend money only when it's driving incremental value above that SEO? So I'm going to set out on that. So firstly, what are we talking about when we say total search? To me, it refers to the collective output of text ads, the shopping ads, and our organic listing. And we spend money on all three, and we do it all through separate ranking systems. Contrary to popular belief, SEO is not free. Well, at least good SEO is not free, but I'm probably preaching to the choir here, like all of you at Brighton SEO. But we expend loads of time, effort, expertise trying to improve our organic rankings through SEO. We spend money on keywords through text ads, trying to move up the search auction. And then on the shopping tile side, we hope our feed matches to the query to run good PMax ads. So we're spending time, effort, expertise in trying to manage our listings across all these three things. It would be really nice if they all spoke to each other and actually able to measure them across platforms, but do Google give us any tools for that? Of course they don't. So what is the result of that? You can already imagine the inefficiencies there, right? We're spending loads of money on shopping ads, we're spending loads of money on text ads, completely taking away from the organic, completely taking away from all those efforts. So there's incredible levels of wasted ad spend. How can we try and eradicate that? Secondly, we're devaluing SEO massively. The SEO team spends all their time improving the ranking across all these queries, only for the paid media manager the next day to turn on PMax and cannibalize all that traffic that they would have gotten. So how can we solve for that? And then finally, we're really missing a great opportunity to provide monetary value analysis to SEOs, which again, the SEOs amongst you will know that's sometimes hard to prove with your managers and your C-suites, etc. Because ideally, if we're managing all these things in conjunction, if I do some great work improving my ranking on these SEO queries, I would expect paid to react in kind and reduce the spend that we're spending on those queries and trying to capture that value in organic. So if we were to do that, we would be able to achieve the same amount of revenue, but with less cost. And right there, I have this monetary value proving the great work that I've done, improving the ranking is really helping the business. So all these three things didn't really sit well with me. I'm sure they don't sit well with you. So how can we set out to eradicate those? And how can we solve for total search? So firstly, let's define our goal. Total search, search is wide, it's vast. There's a lot of things that are relevant for text ads, organic ads, and shopping ads that we're just not going to be able to cover in this. Let's focus on the overlap. Let's focus on these high organic queries where we are seeing that cannibalization or potential for cannibalization from shopping and text ads. Secondly, the main thing we want to achieve is obviously paid should be really purely incremental. That's what we're here to set out to achieve. To do that, we need some new KPIs to measure that against. We can't just look at paid KPIs over here, organic KPIs over here. We need to start building our own. So we need to build a total search profits metric or a total ROAS metric. And then what we're talking about here is paid revenue plus the organic revenue minus or divided by the paid cost, depending on which metric you're looking at. And the SEOs amongst you will already see the challenge there, which is finding query level organic revenue, but we'll touch on that in a minute. And then the final thing that we need to achieve is this needs to be fully living, breathing, and reactive to any changes. If paid competition changes tomorrow, I need to react. If SEO ranking changes, I need to change my strategy. If the site changes, all of a sudden my conversion rate's better, that changes my optimum point in production. And similarly, the feed affects the way I show on my shopping queries. So again, I want to be able to live react to that. So what are the methodologies that out there exist? The first one that you'll find, a bunch of companies do leverage scraping. So they scrape the SERP look if you're top on paid, look if you're top on organic, and they pause it. What we like to call this sort of the assumption-based method, which basically assumes that all overlap of paid and organic is bad. But one of the unfortunate truths of working with Google is that having the top paid ad and having the top organic ad, or just having both in general, what top and not, takes up more real estate on the page and therefore pushes your competitors further down the page. So there always is some degree of incremental CTR to be had by having both. So the question to me then becomes, how much am I spending to achieve that extra CTR versus how much revenue am I driving with that additional CTR? So it really isn't a black and white on-off decision. It can't be that. For keyword X, it might make sense to have that incremental CTR. The revenue outweighs the cost. But for keyword Y, keyword Z, it might not. So we can't have a one-size-fits-all solution, assuming that it's going to be the same. There's a lot of intricacies in the behavior of all these different keywords and the structure of the SERPs on those keywords. So we really want to let data drive this decision, not assumption. So what we really need to achieve this is we need to build a machine learning bid strategy, similar to a normal Google Ads bid strategy, but one that actually factors in organic data. By setting the paid bids relevant to the organic data, we can make sure that we aren't overbidding on keywords and cannibalizing traffic from organic. But similarly, we might spot opportunities where we're seeing a lot of leakage to our competitors. So the best way to visualize that is in this very rudimentary graph over here. But if you imagine all your keywords along the x-axis here, your bids along the y-axis, and you imagine this red line as your current bid as set by your purely paid bid strategy with zero relevance for organic. And then the blue line, if you start factoring in that organic data, let's imagine that's your optimum bid on each keyword there. And what you'll find is on two ends of the spectrum, on the left-hand side, on keyword 1 and 2, you'll find some keywords where you're actually seeing a lot of leakage to competitors when you're combining that paid and organic, and there's scope to actually increase your paid activity and capture that value in that blue shaded area. But probably more frequently what we find on the other end of the spectrum, keyword 4 and 5, is a lot of cannibalization. You know, if we start actually factoring in that organic data into the way that we manage paid, we'll be able to reduce the bids and still drive the same amount of revenue, capturing more value in this red shaded area. So that's essentially what we're here to achieve. So how do we set about doing that? The first thing we really need to do is solving this initial data challenge. And this is what I was alluding to with the SEOs earlier. So to be able to do this, to be able to build this full picture of search and build this machine learning model, we need to have the full data set behind it. We need to know all the costs, all the revenues of all the channels involved. And again, we haven't been able to get organic query level revenue for about 15 years since that was ripped out of GA. So what are we going to do about it? We get our impressions, we get our clicks, we get our position from Search Console. In Google Ads, obviously, we get everything. We get all the delivery metrics, all the conversion metrics, all the competition metrics. So firstly, what we need to do is model those conversion metrics for the corresponding paid keyword back to the organic query. So every single day, every single device on each query, we're going to model that conversion rate, that AOV back to the organic clicks that we're seeing in Search Console. And therefore, we'll be able to actually build that picture of the organic revenue contribution at an individual keyword level. We also have the issue that Google, when they launched Smart Shopping and now PMax, we lost all that query data as well. Fortunately, that data is now coming back to us. That's now been released back into the APIs of late last year. So now we have our initial data set. We can actually then start building machine learning model to actually find that optimum point of production on each keyword, on each device. So to start that, we need to train our model. We have that baseline data, we need to train it. So what we then do is we launch what we call the learning phase. So through that period, we are basically slowly increasing and then decreasing the bid in really small increments to different levels of impression share. And from that point, we then know what we like to call the bid elasticity of that keyword. So we now know when something changes, competition changes, organic changes, et cetera, we know what the appropriate response is to deliver the correct action in response to those changes. So we can constantly maintain that optimum point of production, making sure that we have the right bid relevant to organic all the time. And this is kind of like an example of some of the data that we look at. This is data that'll be absolutely of no shock to anyone. I realize you probably can't read these labels, but this is a plot showing the negative correlation between paid impression share and organic CTR. So anytime your boss tells you that SEO cannibalization isn't really a problem, this is exactly the kind of data that we show in front of them. You know, really, as you increase your paid, obviously your organic CTR decreases. And this is live data across all of our clients who we leverage this solution for. So now we've built the model, we now just need to do the easy bit, which is the activation pipeline. So we do that organic modeling, as I mentioned. We host that data in the cloud. We run our machine learning model on top of it. And then we activate that in Google Ads. So we're then writing the bid into Google Ads every single day per keyword, per device. So we're taking things away from automated Google bid strategies and managing just these select few high organic volume keywords through our custom built bid strategy that references organic. And what we're left with is exactly what we set out to achieve. We now have a machine learning model driving the optimum point of production across every keyword relevant to that organic traffic. And what's more is that it'll be completely reactive to those changes. So for instance, if a paid competitor starts to outbid my keyword on that keyword, the model will automatically test to see if it's worth going back above that paid competitor, or whether it's actually more profitable to stay below and just rely on your paid listing and your organic listing as is. Similarly, if in organic your paid ranking increases, we would expect the paid to automatically decrease and actually capture the same amount of revenue with less spend. And similarly, if your feed changes, you're going to show up on different levels of shopping queries, the model will react. And even like more macro level events. So if you just go into sale, or the government gives out a load of money in COVID again or whatever, and the conversion rate on your site is going to increase, or whatever you may be doing, a lot of site optimization potentially. If the conversion rate improves, all of a sudden that value that I get from that incremental CTR of having the paid above the organic is now worth more to me. And therefore I should be bidding more to actually achieve it. And then we'll be completely reacting to all these things. So we have our bid optimization engine, but the last thing I want to kind of go through is what, by doing this, we can unlock in terms of insights about the SERP. So going to jump into how SEOs can leverage that. So obviously this solution is designed by its very nature to drive value for SEOs, reduce cannibalization, get the maximum value out of it. But through the insights, there's a lot more that you can unpack as well. And this is an example of one of our dashboards. By seeing, the text ad, the organic ad, the shopping ad data all along the same curves, looking at things like, how does paid impression share affect my organic CTR? How is my paid CTR related to my organic CTR? How is shopping CTR related to my organic CTR? All these things you can see at an individual query level when you have all this data attached. So again, if it's automatically optimizing, you can really learn how each thing updates the other. So just with this system, what we encourage SEOs to, we already mentioned how you can put monetary value to those organic ranking improvements. Again, as soon as that SEO ranking changes, our bidding will change on the paid side. And therefore we can build that monetary value to take to our directors and say, this is the value of SEO. Beyond that, obviously it gives great guidance for areas of opportunity. Again, analyzing your total CTR in a dashboard on a given keyword, we can understand where the areas are that paid's having to do more of the heavy lifting, and where some SEO optimizations can improve the ranking on those keywords and drive maximum value for the business in terms of total search improvements. And finally, it just gives you, really unprecedented insights into what is going on with the SERP. So you can build filters, you can build reporting flags, you can understand when it is your paid team who has affected your performance. If your organic CTR or organic revenue contribution goes down, you can immediately see in the dashboard what's happened to our paid CTR, our paid impression share, have they been more aggressive? But what you can also see is when they don't do anything, you can understand when competitor behavior is what's affecting the organic CTR and the organic revenue contribution. So it really gives you a lot of tools to work with, where you don't necessarily need to go through the paid team to uncover this data. And speaking as somebody who's worked in paid a long time, they often don't even have this data themselves. So it's a really great tool for you to be able to proactively and reactively adjust your strategies. And with that, what we try and talk about is how it drives the total search flywheel. So if we start using our model to find the optimum point of production on each keyword that we're looking at on day one, what we'll then see through the insights is unpacking, suggesting those areas of further opportunity to SEOs. They obviously then do what they do, optimizing those pages, improving the position, and then the model reacts again. And then we suggest further opportunities of improvement. So what this does is just iteratively continues to grow your performance across total search by leveraging all these things in conjunction and not just looking at them in isolation. And And now, that's the model. And what I talk about now is kind of why it's more important now than ever, and with some Google changes that are really driving the need for this. But most of you will be aware that Google are heavily pushing all of their AI when it comes to the page side. Really wanting everyone to use PMax, really wanting everyone to move to more Hagakure-esque page strategies, which essentially means more broad match and less exact match. And these tools are really great. They do an amazing job of unpacking the long tail of search and delivering more customer acquisition in those areas. But without, what they do bring is a significant decrease in the amount of control you have on those campaigns. And without any checks or balances on that, they are just going to drive immense amounts of spend on those high-ranking organic terms that we want to protect, making that really driving a lot of cannibalization on those terms. So what we propose is using this solution that we've just built together to really qualify PMax and really qualify these broad match strategies. If we add negative keywords to broad match and we add negative keywords to PMax, which you still can't do in the UI, you actually have to call up Google and get them to do it for you, which is a bit funny why they do that. Wonder what their intentions are there. But when we do that, we can isolate those keywords in exact match, and then we can manage them completely with reference to that organic traffic to make sure that we're not running any cannibalization. We're actually driving that optimum amount of incrementality. So the benefits really of doing this are you get the best of both worlds. You get all the benefits of Google AI really unpacking the long tail, but by protecting those high organic terms, you're ensuring they're just not doing it at the expense of your organic. So using this solution is more important now than ever, with Google really trying to push these more black box-esque solutions of PMax and broad match. And then the final thing to note is that Google have really recently, I think it was only a few weeks ago, actually it was probably, Joe, when did you write your thing? A month ago? Made a major update to the SERPs. So what I'm talking about here is these sort of mid-page ads that have started to pop up here and there. They're not really that prevalent just yet, so we still don't really understand exactly what this is going to do to us. But what it really does is gives the opportunity for us to be a lot more intelligent and nuanced with our strategies here. If you can imagine a scenario where you're top on organic, second on paid, and then all your competitors below, that'd be a dream situation rather than what we're used to of that being the other way around and paid being first. So what this does, it gives us the opportunity to be a lot more creative and drive a lot more incremental growth and a lot more savings with our paid search spend. And this kind of like highlights why, again, those scraping best methodologies don't really work and aren't very future-proof, because there's so much we could achieve with having, taking up more of the space, but prioritizing organic with this change. So again, we're really excited for what this is going to do for the SERP as we kind of unpack what Google's real intentions are behind this. And then finally, just want to leave you with some key takeaways. I understand, some of that might not be completely accessible to do tomorrow, building a machine learning model. So what I'd like to do is give you some steps for you to get started actually looking at total search when you get back in the office on Monday. The first thing I suggest everyone does is please make sure you're linking up Google Ads to Search Console. It constantly shocks me how few people do this. This is the one tool that Google give you to actually manage these things in conjunction with the paid and organic reports. So please make sure you're linking those up. Secondly, do try and isolate those paid top SEO terms in exact match. Let's add those negatives to PMax. Let's add those negatives to broad match. We need to be completely in control of what's happening on those keywords, or we risk endless cannibalization driven by Google AI. Third thing you do is please get familiar with those paid and organic reports. Once you see all that data coming in, you can start to devise some tests that you can do. So maybe on one week to another, you're changing your paid strategy and you're monitoring what that does for your organic strategy, organic click-through rates. Unfortunately, all the stuff around organic revenue, you're not going to be able to get. We need to do the full-blown version of that, but you should be able to do some really great tests just on CTR alone. And finally, if any of you are really interested in getting the whole shebang, please do scan this QR code, or my colleague, I think, has got some leaflets on the way out. On this portal, you'll be able to see kind of our customer success stories booklet of using this kind of solution. What they do is obviously they recognize the benefits of not actually cannibalizing all their SEO traffic. But again, share some of the stories and share some of the questions they've been able to answer using all this data. And there's actually their real data behind this as well. Obviously all anonymized, but please do check that out. If you're interested in our seamless search products, which is kind of the full blown version of this, there's an opportunity to request a forecast. You can really see how far we've gone into the weeds on this. And there's a bunch of other great resources as well. But yeah, that's it for me. Thank you very much. And I'll be hanging around for questions.